Hi everyone, my name's Jason Lowe. I'm from Oracle. We've got Callan and KY on the line as well, and Lynn as well as far as on the panelists. One of the things I'll say is welcome to Digital Defense Hackathon. How was that, KY?
Yep, welcome to everyone.
So it's been a long time coming in terms of the planning work, and we greatly appreciate that we've got people here today as part of the pre-hackathon workshops. The process around here is really just to both education, but also how do we help you in terms of the people that are giving your time, your effort, and your energy on the weekend to actually work on these kind of problems and come together to really make a difference and make an impact. So thank you everyone for coming along. So really, as an intro to this session, this is really about us actually just kicking it off, giving you a bit of highlights around what we see as part of the problem spaces and also what is our give. I'll say our give being not just myself or KY or Callan or Lynn, but everyone from Oracle. What is our give to everyone here in terms of turning up to this event and how to make best use of the resources that we've got available. So KY, flick a couple of slides. So from here, really, the main thing that we have, and this is probably aligned to our current mission statement that we redefined at Open World last year, at our global conference last year. So really to see data in new ways, discover insights, and unlock endless possibilities. And what a great foundation for this to happen. Cybersecurity, yes, it is a security angle, but for this, a lot of the things around what we see from, I see all the people on the Slack channel talking about data science, machine learning, analytics, advanced analytics, computer vision I saw in there. It is around data, and this is where we see ourselves actually supporting everyone here in terms of how we actually get this done. So what we'll do is move on to KY. What we'll probably want to look at is how do we actually, when we actually came up and spoke to hackmakers around cybersecurity and that. So Callan, this is something that we sort of talked about before around the different problems around that were presented. So you want to kick off in terms of how you saw that and probably some of the background stories around how this sort of fits in and how that applies to the themes up on the website.
Cheers. So we started with Oracle's vision statement. That was released at last year's Open World. The one before that's perhaps more relevant for this hackathon, which was safeguarding the world's data for the good of mankind or good of humankind. So really focusing on that safeguarding, on the protection. So Oracle's got a really long security history. It started out developing out databases for three-letter agencies. So really long, tightly coupled data security has kind of been at the core of that. Obviously, Oracle's evolved as a company. They've more than just a database company. When I joined, it was still kind of had that reputation despite having oodles of other non-database things. And as kind of it's evolved further, the care that Oracle has around security and how that works more generally has really, really broadened. And so we're very invested in how people are approaching security, how people are approaching potential threats or potential issues that may result in data breaches, may result in compromise, may result in anything there. So what I've got up here, which is one of those things I kind of want you guys to take away from this, is the Oracle and KPMG Cloud Threat Report. So for the last 4 years, we've been working with KPMG to put out a threat report on basically the sorts of things that are keeping security professionals up at night when they're going into the cloud. So that's available, oracle.com/CTR, really easy URL. Strongly recommend you check that out and have a look through that. So the Oracle and KPMG Cloud Threat Report goes through, was conducted with interviews with I think 750 security professionals across all sorts of industries, across all sorts of geographies. And it's looking at the sorts of things that they're worried about as their organization moves to the cloud. It's looking at their levels of cloud maturity. It's looking at those areas that can still be improved. It's looking at those areas where they are failing And it's all anonymized, so they were happy to admit there were some failures there. If we move to the next one, how this works with hack makers is, as part of that, we really identified that there was a major readiness gap. In response to, do you feel there's a readiness gap with your current cloud use, rate of expansion, or maturity of cloud security problem? The vast majority of people said yes. The majority of people said, yeah, we've got a small or large readiness gap on this, whereby we need to get across that. And that's just because going into the cloud allows you to move so quickly. But moving quickly from a security perspective has traditionally been a hard thing to have. It's been, if you move too fast, your security inevitably gets left behind. So what we need to respond to this is smart solutions. We need nice ways to enable people to move quickly. We need nice ways to ensure that people are still protected, even as they're exploring more and more things, as all their workloads are moving out of their data centers and into the cloud. So that's really what we're looking for from hackmakers. We're looking for, what are some smart solutions around the common sorts of problems, and we're going to release some problem statements to talk about the sorts of things that we're seeing and we're focused on. But if you need some sort of ideas for the general purpose, KY, you want to jump to the next one? If you're opening up the Cloud Threat Report, there's a lot of really nice infographics, really simple, easy to consume. It's written in a solid way where you can get take away a lot from it if you are a cloud professional or if you are a security professional. But even if you're not a security professional, you should still be able to get some really good insights out of it. So I've called out some sort of key infographics and discussion points there whereby this is potentially a good place to be working. So on page 21, there's which areas do you feel are most important to improve security visibility? Because it's very hard to be secure if you don't know what's going on in there. So in this, it's looked at all the places where people have identified that they have visibility gaps within their organization, where they don't have a good view of what's happening in particular areas, of what workflows are happening that aren't particularly well controlled, of how administrators are operating and whether that makes sense. So if you need ideas on the sorts of problems that might make sense to explore, then page 21, really good place to be. These are really they're presented in a very easy to consume manner. You can simply go to those things. There's nice infographics that depict the responses to those questions. They kind of look at ways we can improve visibility, how we can improve operations around least privilege, but also how we can respond to kind of the evolving world of cyber adversaries. So if you need ideas on where to go to, oracle.com/CTR, the Cloud Threat Report's a really good jumping off point for that. The Cloud Threat Report, the core one, provides a summary of all the things that are being discussed. If you want to go into sort of more detail around specific things, those things which were really kind of called out as particular focal areas in the Cloud Threat Report, there were subsequent reports put out around those precise areas. So there's deeper looks into analyzing cyber risk and fraud. If you're looking at some of the fraud detection scenarios, then there's good jumping off points in there for the sorts of problems that people are seeing in real life. There's discussions around the impacts of modern data breach. So if you're looking at, hey, how do we safeguard some data? There might be some nice ideas in that. There's a whole discussion around shared responsibility model, around how we make sure that people know what they are responsible for and what they're doing there. So the Cloud Threat Report, really, really good jumping off point to kind of understand where people's heads are at with regard to security at the moment, kind of what the open problems are. And we can strongly recommend giving that a skim over if you need ideas of the sorts of problems that it makes sense to really delve into and try to build smart solutions for as part of the hack.
So as Cullen saw, made mention, here's 3 of the themes are actually on the website. More details will come in terms of what they mean and the actual problem statements. This will happen at the launch or a little bit after and be posted in the Slack channel themselves. So hopefully this will actually help articulate and work through that, because I know probably one of the things I would actually say is if you do want to work on a problem, call it out. If you've got a skill in that area, call it out, because that's going to help people to actually create teams and come together around specific topics. So, KY, you want to move on to the next one?
Yep.
Yeah. So part of what we bring to the hackathon itself, there's a couple of things that we're doing here. we're actually providing a free trial, a promotional free trial as part of this. So each person can register for this trial. And as part of that, and part of what Lynn's been able to do is actually give each person an extra $200 US in each of those accounts to be used within those 30 days. And one of the things that we have picked up from the last event is credit cards, and putting those details in just slows everything down. So we've taken that off, and we made sure that you didn't need that, and really makes it really simple to actually get that started. Now, we'll go through a little bit later, and tomorrow's session at the same time, we'll go through a couple of those use cases, and we're going to be providing a lot of details in the Slack channel in terms of what's on offer. But what we'll do now is actually give a bit of a snapshot of maybe a couple of things that may interest people in using here. So KY, you want to go to the next one?
Yeah, let me do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jason. So, as what Jason mentions, within the hackathons, there's a 30 days trial credits. Once you go log into the Oracle Cloud infrastructures, there are so many services. And today, I'm going to talk about two main services that potentially can help you in this hackathon. One of them is called the Graph Analytics, and it allows you to find the patterns in graph, anomaly detections, all right, and look at all the patterns from all the data points from all the vertices and edges. And the second one will be what we call it, the Oracle Cloud Infrastructures Data Science, which is a platform for you to do some clusterings and also some anomaly detection as well. All right. So let me just go through the first one, the Graph Analytics. Quick introductions. Well, the Graph Analytics is not a fully a machine learning. It actually a platform allow you to have the correlations between the data sets to look at the different edges and also the vertices. Now it allows you to drag and drop all the data points, and you can actually limit the number of hops, and then you can see the correlation between all the data. All right. One of the case example will be the fraud analysis. Then you can see the patterns of the data transactions by multiple hops, and then how you actually loop it back into the origin source. Move on from here is that the graph database Oracle does provide the graph database, which is the autonomous database, right? It has the features to store the graph, and you can actually leverage on the third party's graph as well, which is Linkurious and also Tom Sawyer's Perspective. These are the one of those quite well known in the markets that you can actually hop onto the Oracle Autonomous with the graph database features and then start to create the kind of relationships. What we think that how you can leverage the graph analytics. Now, within the hackathons, we have data sources, all right? You're given a data set, whether it's flat files or data come from the streams. You have data integrations that you need to pull the data. Either you can pull the data direct into the autonomous database, which is you have the graph database features, or you can actually store it into the object storage and then later on push that into the autonomous database, all right? So the amber color actually is the optional features, whether you want to use it or not. Now, once the data has been pushed into the autonomous database with the graph database features, you can actually use the graph visualizations to visualize the data, and then start to create a kind of correlation between those data points. All right. Now, without further ado, let me just play a quick video demo and then give you a better insight and what is graph analytics. Let me just share my right, and then let me play it up.
It's breaking up. So what we'll do is we've got the link to the video. In this session, we'll skip the videos because it looks like it's actually taking a bit of bandwidth for everyone. So we'll put them explicitly in the Slack channel along the side of this. So let's get. So really, in 25 words or less. Okay, what is the video showing in terms of that experience? What will people see?
Well, what people see in point is that you put the data into the autonomous database will be the graph database features, and then you will use the PGQL, which is the property graph queries language, and then you start to query the data out, and then you're able to visualize that into the graph visualizations. As what you saw just now in the beginnings, all right, the graph visualizations, and this demo will actually show you a quick one how you actually use the PGQLs, query the data sets, and then you visualize that out.
Yeah,
That's a quick summary.
so PGQL is actually similar to like a SQL type.
SQL statement. Yep.
A SQL statement.
You're right.
However, the way that you set up is not set up the relationships of the edges and the nodes actually simplifies that query. And as I was having a conversation last night, that the value within the relationships, and that is actually, there's a lot of good stuff that's actually put into the weightings or into the meaning of those relationships. So PGQL really takes advantage of that.
Yeah, you're right. Spot on, Jason.
So,
right, let me just move on to the next services that we think that will be beneficial for the hackathon. And let me just move on. That will be the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure's Data Science. All right, in short, we call it OCI. Now, what is the OCI's? We actually platforms, all right, allow a collaborative effort between multiple developers or multiple data science, and you can actually use that to create what I call it the algorithms, all right? For example, you want to do outlier analysis, or you want to performing clustering of your data to look at the anomalies patterns. You can actually leverage on this platform. The language, as you can see, let me just put on my pointer. As you can see here is the Python and Jupyter, which is well known and common to most of the developers, all right? So you can access all the data either from the flat files or direct from the autonomous database. And you can actually use the compute that share for the data science platforms, and then have that collaborative workflows together. All right. Let me just share a bit more. So this is the high overviews of the how the data science platform look like. You have the projects. You got Jupyter Labs notebooks. All right. You got some of the open source libraries which you can use and import for your hackathon projects. You don't need to code it from scratch. And then you got some of the SDK as well. So it's simple to use, it saves times, and then you can actually jumpstart to do your clustering or anomalies outliers analysis, all right? So this is how we think the flow might. This is some of the flow we think you might embark. So you got a data set from the left that will be given. And then you use the integration tools. Either you want to use the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure Data Integrations clouds, or you can use any scripts to load that data into the autonomous database. All right. Once the data has been loaded into the autonomous database, you can leverage the OCI data science to connect to the autonomous database to get the data, and then start to do the machine learning algorithms. Now, there's optional components here with what we call it the Oracle Analytics Clouds. So either you would like to export that data sets into the visualizations, where you can actually create a dashboard, right, from here, which is we call it the Oracle Analytics Clouds. Having said that, you can actually straight away consume the result direct from the OCI data science platform. All right. I hope this give you some high level view how that flow and process works. Next, yep,
yeah,
go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say in there, in terms of data sets, then you could actually just drop your data set CSVs, your Avro, Pardo files into object storage, and then load that straight back into data science. So
yep,
the autonomous database itself already has, if you think about graph, if you think about, there's also machine learning that we do straight within the database itself. So you could actually do it there as opposed to draw it out. So it really depends on how much data you've got and the kinds of crunching that you're going to need through this period to actually do that as quickly as you can. So there's definitely a couple of different options there. And Analytics Cloud is just one option. You could use your Matplot type stuff in OSI Data Science. We've also got a low code within the Autonomous database that you could actually do visualization. So there's some of those techniques. We've got a different video that KY and I did last time that we'll tack onto that as a point of reference to just give you a bit of flexibility in terms of what you might need. And we did find last time, a lot of people focused on the machine learning side to get the outcomes and quality around, okay, how good is this? And then when it got to the pitch, how could they describe it? They needed something to visualize to tell the story about what they've done. And that's probably where people looked at the Analytics Cloud or Apex to do that low code, to actually tell that story around the data. Especially if you only got a few minutes in a video. You need to tell that story really simply to actually be effective. If judges are looking at 100 of these videos, you do need to stand out.
Yeah. Thanks, Jason, for adding those points. Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting one.
Yeah.
Let me just move on. I think the next one was the video. I think the video screaming might not be the good one. So we will share this link as well into the Slack. All right.
Yeah.
I'm just laughing at chat. You guys can't see this because it's just sent to the panelists, which is because all of you guys are technical. We are just getting constant tech tips on what to do with the slideshow in the chat. It's great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for your tech support. We've got there in the end. Without you guys, we'd be lost.
Yeah.
All right. So I think Jason was sick of this one. Just
okay.
About analytics.
Okay. So KY talked about analytics, and that's cool. We also talked about the autonomous database in the middle under the data management. So that's part of what we're doing here. What we also have done is probably more so under the low code. So in terms of that autonomous database, we've got low code type ways of doing that. Under the developer component, this is where we've got that. We've also got in here, we can actually build anything. So this is a proper app dev environment. So if we do want to build serverless functions, GraalVM is actually quite an interesting technology that's part of what we've got. If you're in the space where you do need if you want to explore different performance characteristics around R, around Python, GraalVM actually allows you to run that, but it actually compiles all that from interpretive into almost native C-like performance. We've got compute. So one of the things I'll probably talk about tomorrow will be if we do get some extra stuff, we'll be able to talk about what we're doing here. Now, what we've got in these trials, that Data Science Cloud is just spinning up a notebook in a VM. That's all it really is, and that's available to you. And really, Data Science Cloud, actually click a few buttons and you've got all this capability already there. If you're looking at doing more Spark type, so Apache Spark type behaviors, type processing, then we've got data flow in the middle. So we've got that, and that's potentially if you're doing some of that ETL type stuff, and then plugging that back into your models. There is a log that I saw today. I'm happy to share it as part of this as well. It allows you to take your model and actually deploy that as a serverless function. So it creates an API that allows you to turn your model into something that is executable. So I know we sort of talked about that, a couple of these different things, but that's probably where bulk of where I think most of the people are. Interesting enough, some of the people at the last event chose to run Windows with Power BI and SQL Server on a OS image. And I can see you laughing there, Colin. But,
no. The reason I'm laughing is the reason we're calling out most of these services is because this is a hackathon. You've got a weekend. No one has time to install software. Don't waste your time installing software. Pick stuff where all the stuff's already there. So the reason I was laughing is I'm like, yeah, you could just do it all in Infra, but you got to install stuff. That's no fun. That takes away precious development time.
But and you're right. It's all about time and effort. And if we get these trials up, I know within experience and within a couple hours or less than an hour, you could actually get your tenancy up and running, and within a couple of hours, you could actually have some of this actually available to you. So we are on Wednesday, and if you want to get some of this stuff available and up and running, then that's more about you setting yourself up. That's like bringing a team in of people that you know to bring in. That's like bringing in your own toolkits that you know and bringing that in. So if you want to use any of this stuff, in terms of the 500 USD environment and get access to this, then this is something that we could actually set up beforehand. We also, one of the things that we are looking at here and still yet to finalize, we've potentially got GPU on offer as well as blockchain. So we're in the process of getting that started. We will put a process in terms of how you get access to that. But if you are interested, then hit us up, and we'll run through a process of how we are going to provide that. So GPU specifically for that, it is a rare resource as part of what we're doing here. So we will be looking at how do we, if we do have too many people actually asking for it, then we will need to go through a selection process of how do we actually divvy this out. So the last thing that I'll do from here is we do have two more workshops. One will be actually kicking off same time as this one, but tomorrow. So 4:30 Australian Daylight Savings Time, which is 11 o'clock. Going back to my timetable, 11 o'clock in India and 5:30 GMT. So so tomorrow's session really will go through a bit more around some of those tech components. So Anish, you've got a question. So could you put it in the chat or put it as a Q&A?
And suspiciously gone down. So it's either being typed or he got called out.
Actually, let's try that. Anish, you want to say what your question is? Okay, Anish, okay, so if you do want to, if you've got any questions and stuff like that, we do have the help with Oracle. So there's a chat which is help with Oracle in the Slack channel. Yeah, so it's if you go there, all of us are in there. Ask your questions. We do have a bit of a detail of how you get access to that $500 free credit trial and that offer. So as part of this event. Cool. Ask your question there, Nish. Much appreciated. So yeah. Tomorrow okay. I see Naman. If you want to use all these modules in hackathons, where should I get my hands on them? I assume that you're talking about the cloud trials. What we'd be talking, we will be doing that as part of once we go through a registration process. There's a form that you fill in with your name, first name, last name, and an email. From there, we'll actually go through an approval process to get you that. I will send you an email to that email, so the email needs to be correct. Otherwise, we won't be able to respond back to you. And then from there, there is you can complete the sign-in process, and that's it. You've got a tenancy somewhere. So depending on what you're doing, then we've got most of the services that people have that they need in lots of different places. So Japan, Seoul, we've got India, we've got Australia, but we've got different regions across the world as well that you got access to. So just need to pick one that's probably most suitable for what you're trying to do. And then from there, get started. So if you do have any questions in terms of which region you want to go into, what services, where should I do it, then send us a message in the Slack channel, and then we'll help you through that process. And if you do want to get access to, let's say, the GPU and blockchain, then that's something that you need to talk to us directly on around that. The trial access, it is the same, but what we're doing with this, it is the same as the trial access. So it is 30-day trial in terms of that. There are some, in terms of the way that you're using the environment, then you don't need to sign up. There's no credit card. Those things have been added in to give access to this. And this is actually available to everyone that signs up.
Yep, so you can go to oracle.com and request the trial, but if you hit Jason up on Slack instead, you'll get a better deal.
You'll get a better deal. Yep. Definitely so. Thank you, Lynn. Much appreciated. So just checking if there's any last questions. Otherwise, I'll close the recording. I'll cut it, and some of the stuff in the middle is probably still going to be there in terms of us playing around with PowerPoint. So be it. This is live. So cool. As there's no more questions, thank you, KY. Thanks, Callum, for running through that. Thanks, Lynn. Thank you, everyone. See everyone on Slack, and see everyone tomorrow if you want to join in around use cases and see how things go. See you later.
Yep.
Cheers, folks.
See you guys. Bye-bye.